Hi everyone, welcome to the new video. As in the sequence of answering the questions, the important questions or repeated questions that come for the examinations for the second semester B.Ed curriculum, the subject being techniques, methods, and approaches of pedagogy. We continue on on this third video for this subject. We already have uploaded 2 videos with 10 questions. Now let's go to the next 5 set of questions. These are questions that are often repeated, or the frequency of occurrence is high. So probably there is a likely chance that this might again reappear for examination. So it's better I have come up with simple answers to make students understand the gist or the summary of the answers, so they can use the details in the questions to reproduce in their own words, or you can also by heart the same. Better to also have other resources or text to confirm their answers, but these are really as a guide and are very handy for a quick glance during examination hurry. So let's go to the first question. That's the 11th question in this series. What is narrating? List out the advantages and disadvantages. So narrating is nothing but, the best examples we have in narration is, if you remember the Mahabharata, wherein Sanjay narrates Dhritarashtra the story of war that is going on, because Dhritarashtra, being blind, is not aware of what is happening, but because of his divine vision, Sanjay narrates the sequences. So in the same way, narration is a technique wherein teacher presents a well-ordered, it's a sequential order, well-ordered formatted way of verbal account of an event. Recount some past experience based on some past experience or incidents, or it's kind of, you put the subjects into a kind of a story and narrates it. So this is a very interesting way, because when you put it in that way, for instance, it is very interesting. Narration techniques is very interesting when it comes to history or literature. This kind of subjects. This is very good technique to have. The advantages being that it's a practical, it presents a practical media of learning. Interesting if the teacher is good enough and has a good, hold on or command on the subject, he or she can really be a good narrative and can hold the interest of the students in the class and make learning process very good and educative. Science teacher may take the help of art of narration and elucidating the causes and effect relationship. Teachers may also create interest in lessons while narrating relevant incidents from biographies and scientists. As I told you, right, the stories, whether you are going to tell a historical story or a story about a scientist or some kind of work, an experiment that was conducted in the past, if you have a flair of telling stories in a way, with anecdotes and with some interesting subject, this becomes a very good and interesting technique to have in teaching. So there are certain disadvantages as well. If the teacher is not that skilled enough, and if he tries narration, it could be really confusing and also might not be interesting for the students. If narration is not proper, then there is a lack of interest or enthusiasm in the students. And also there is a little bit of bias when it comes to narration techniques, because the subject matter is coming from one's perspective. So that also has to be taken into account when we do narration. And also it's very important, it's an effective technique for understanding level and not reflective level. So it's come to understanding level. So how good is the understanding level? Then if this technique can be really effective. And also there is one more point, one disadvantage, that there is a lot of unwanted material that can come through in the narration, which is not needed for that subject. Like, and it can bring up irrelevant subject if there is a topic and the teacher is narrating, he can go off the topic, and it can be a really irrelevant subject which will not make any good value to the students. Coming to the 12th question, distinguish between formative and summative evaluation. So we are distinguishing them based on the distinguishing factors on the left side, that is purpose, meaning, frequency, role, role of the student, dependency on instruction, goal, format of question, outcome, methods, and grading. You can write any 5 of them, 5 or 6 of these differences, because it's a 5 marks question. So formative evaluation is done. This is like not a final evaluation. It's done to monitor the progress, it's an ongoing process. But whereas summative, it sums up the evaluation. That is like, basically to give final grades, or to assess the achievement of the students, and that kind of thing is there. The role of student in formative evaluation is active, because it's ongoing process, and they do be part of that evaluation. But when it comes to summative evaluation, it's just passive element. You write you be part of the evaluation and move on, then that's the final thing, that grading, right? There's no scope for improvement later on. Whereas the goal of evaluation is to improve and enhance learning students. The goal of evaluation to prove or judge the student's performance. Here what we are saying is formative evaluation. We are saying that how good he is, or where he is lagging, and we try to improve that over and over and again until the summative evaluation step or stage comes up. Until that, it goes on. The formative evaluation is a continuous process, and there is a chance for improvement. Whereas when it comes to summative evaluation, the goal of evaluation is to prove that what so far the student has learned, or to judge the performance, how well or how bad or how good this performance was. And the format of questions could be a wide range in formative evaluation. But here, there is a limited number of questions. For instance, if you consider your final examination, a summative evaluation, there are only 10 or 20 questions that will have to, based on which your whole academic year will be judged. So there is a limited number of questions, wherein you can see your, unit exams, your preparatory, all there is a wide range of questions, and there is vivas and all there is a lot of questions. But here in the summative evaluation, there is very less. So there are other details, you can go through it. We'll go to the next questions. 13. What is textbook? Explain use of textbook in classroom situation. So basically, you all are aware of textbook. The only thing is we have to put it in our definition. We are aware that there is a book that is prescribed by the board or the university that you are adhering to, and it has the syllabus binded properly with all authentic. It's an authentic book wherein it has been prescribed by a government body or a university. So textbook is a book containing comprehensive information about a course or a subject that student needs to go through the academic year. This has chapters, question answers, exercises, including curriculum to improve the learning standards. Okay. So textbook, it's a standard book, it's not a reference book. Textbooks are something which actually is good enough to complete the syllabus. But if you want to have knowledge beyond this, then you will reach out to reference books. Textbook is basically, it's like, everything is there. I mean, how well it is there, or how clear, or how the student or teacher think that it is good enough is a different story altogether. But then in terms of syllabus and curriculum, it's all there. In classroom, textbooks are used in the following ways. Textbooks are especially helpful for beginning teachers. For teachers, it's like a handbook, right? What to study, what to write, what to bring up, how to plan, how to get it. That's the guide, right? Teacher goes to the lesson. First, it is like what syllabus, what curriculum is there. All is prescribed in the textbook, and they build on their lesson plans and their full unit plans based on that, based on the textbook, the material is textbook. And it's an excellent teaching. It's just an excellent teaching. Excellent source of information for the teachers. They can build vocabulary, and also you can get new words. You'll get to learn new words, and this usage of them same. And there are graphical representations. If there is a smaller class, you have the images. For instance, biology has too many figures and diagrams. In the lower primary classes, if you see the textbook, there are illustrations of houses, mangoes, fruits, and all that, right? So these are all graphical representation is there. And it's a detailed sequence. It's not like in a textbook will not have the first chapter will not be the complex one at the beginning. It is a gradual progression from the area wherein there is lesser information, then gradually it builds upon the curriculum. Going to the next question, what's the dialectic approach, and explain its merits and demerits. When we say dialectical approach, it should not be confused with dialectics, that is, the way you speak a language. Uh, for instance, in Hindi, there are many dialects, like there is Hindi, Awadhi, Bhojpuri. Similarly, in English, we have UK English, US English, and Indian English. Similarly, in Karnataka, we have Uttar Karnataka language and Mandya language and Karnataka language. There is certain dialects, so this is not that. But dialectical approach here, it's a method wherein, if you have two different set of ideas for a particular event or a, test something, you have certain, so it gives a platform or it gives you an opportunity to discuss those different with reasoning arguments. You can have a topic wherein have you think differently and other person thinks differently. You bring them together, try to get a reasoned argument. So you put your points for and against, and then you discuss it out and try to bring a come on common grounds. One way to proceed is the Socratic method. It is shown that given hypothesis lead to a contradiction, thus forcing the withdrawal of hypothesis. You propose a hypothesis and try to nullify it or falsify that hypothesis. So once by doing that, the opposite of that hypothesis will certainly pass. So that is one technique in this. Another dialectical resolution is a disagreement by denying our presupposition of contending thesis and antithesis, thereby proceeding to sublation of synthesis, a third synthesis. So two different theories, then third comes up. It could be amalgamation or mixture of those or totally different together. These techniques are, very creative, which use creative conflict. There's a creative conflict within the decision-making process and help identify challenge assumptions and create new perceptions. So merits of this approach is it well if there is a group dynamics, right? Like JD group discussions and all, it works well because you're having a discussion. Because if there is an idea, few people will have one particular kind of an understanding of it, and some will be there. So if you club them together and you have a discussion, it works well. And it also it's a good approach to solve problems and increase aptitude. You get to know the ideas, you get convinced sometimes, you don't get convinced sometimes. You try to put through your ideas, improve conflict resolving skills. So if instead of fighting over a point, you come there, discuss with valid and logical and facts, and then discuss it. So there is chance of resolving the conflict. Promote self-awareness and self-understanding, helps improve collaboration. These are all, it's a very good, they had many merits. Certain demerits are also there. Pardon this should have been demerits and not, this should have been demerits. So I'll do that correction. Consider this as, so I'll just change that to demerits. So this is not merits, this is demerits of dialectical approach. So it's a lack, it's a time consuming and a lengthy process, and it lacks individual focus. So let's go to the next question. Sorry for that. Write short note on field activities. So what are field activities? It's very the synonymous with what the question is. Field activity is a process of observing and collecting data about people, cultures, natural environments. Normally you can see the census is a field activity which they gather people's data, whether age, sex, address, and number of people at home, education, and all this kind is like a field activity. But when you have to talk it in terms of education, field work conducted in the field of everyday surrounding rather than semi-controlled environments. It's not a part of lab, right? It's not done in labs. You have to go out, venture into whatever area. If you are a geographist, then you have to go to find rocks, study land. You cannot do it in laboratories. If you are a biologist, you have to go to the various, whether it is aquatic or terrestrial. You have to go there, right? And then learn from the actual surroundings. If you are an automobile engineer, then you have to go into see the actual, learn from the automobiles, right? So that is all field activities. Few examples you can say are field trips, excursions, activities in museums, art galleries, trip to gardens, trip to community gardens, etc. All types of field activities. What is the purpose of it? We get first-hand information. If someone says that this is a train, this is a station, how it looks, there are tracks laid out, there is a train which is very long. So to visualize it for some person who has not visited a railway station or not just in pictures, it's a different thing. But when you actually go to a station to visit a railway, an engine, the bogies, how the platform is, what are the different things there is, signboards. There are, laboratories. There are vendors, peddlers. Then there is TC with the black code. This is a very visual thing. If you go and it remains in your mind if you go visit it and learn it from there, right? Just an example. To collect first-hand information, to get direct experience, to understand geographical and social conditions, to interact with local people. So these are certain purposes of field activities. There are many benefits of field activities. Field activities are fun. Field activity, there is a lot of collaboration. Students feel very, because it's an outgoing activity, it's not binded by any formal textbooks. You go there you learn, you have some snacks, collaborate. So it's really a fun activity. And it increases your communication skill and also visualization skill. Understanding is increased. Learning by actually seeing the actual thing than just studying about it. So there are many benefits of it. So that is the end of these 5 questions, that is starting from 11 to 15. I will come up with a next video for 5 more bonus questions on this one. So as I keep telling, if you are not interested in the audio feed, please do mute it and go over to the questions. And if you are if you did like the video and had any questions or doubt and had any corrections to be made from my end, do put it in a comment as a suggestion. I will surely try to improve on that. And thanks for staying connected, and happy learning. Bye, guys.